Welcome to Small Arm Solutions. Today we're looking at the Wilson Combat Recon Tactical AR-10. I put a call out to my friend Charlie. My friend Charlie is a big Wilson Combat fan. He was surprised I had never done a review on any of the Wilson Combat guns, which pretty much the reason I haven't done any reviews is because I haven't had access to any. And he was gracious enough to loan me his for me to take a look at. So we were able to put it through its paces and tell you what I thought of it. Now, Wilson Combat is really a boutique manufacturer. They probably have some of the most expensive guns in the United States. This particular one here is very expensive. We're looking at an MSRP of $3,285. Now, considering this is a single barrel, basically an AR-10, that's extremely high in price. I mean, that's more than what you would get for an LMT MRP. And it's around about what you get with an SR25. So you're really looking at one that's really up there in cost. Now, starting in the back, we have the Roger stock. Roger stock is a fairly common stock. It's they have a couple different ones. One has a lock on the side, and this one particularly does not. So it's a pretty comfortable stock. Receiver extension. This has the proper AR-10 receiver extension. Most of the manufacturers that are out there who put out not military quality rifles, but more of just a commercial, they want to keep parts commonality, so they use a regular AR-15 receiver extension. The problem is when you do that, you have to shorten the buffer because you have a longer bolt carrier group. So they use a smaller buffer. Well, the smaller buffer doesn't have really any weights in it, so you really get a lot of bolt carrier bounce, and you could also have issues with it being acting being too fast if you don't have the gas port down and you don't have a heavy enough recoil spring. They went with a proper AR-10 length receiver extension, which uses standard M4 buffers, so you can get an H1, H2, H3, and this uses one of the heavy buffers. It also has an extremely heavy recoil spring in there as well. Basically, you have the Voltor type receiver extension end plate, which has the hook on it for like an HK style sling. Now the upper and lower receivers gets a little bit interesting because they are billet. They are manufactured specifically at Wilson Combat. They are not compatible with anybody else's. This receiver set was made to go together, and the upper and lower receiver are not compatible. They're machined out of a block of 7075 T6 aircraft grade aluminum. The upper and lower receiver, they're mated together, so you really don't have any rattle to them at all. And the finish they have on them is called an Armor Tough finish. Now, the Armor Tough finish is a lot like Cerakote, but it's a little bit different, and it's something that's proprietary to Wilson Combat. So now we get into sort of the area where, I don't know, when I look at the price tag, it sort of bothers me. For this price tag, you have no ambi features on it at all. As you see, we have a standard magazine release, and if we flip it over, we have a standard bolt catch and safety. So really, for that kind of money, I was expecting to see, some kind of ambi features, which it did not. Now, as you can see, no forward assist, which, wonderful thing. I have no problem with that at all. The pistol grip is unique. They call that their Starburst Gunfighter pistol grip. It's got a little bit different of an angle on it, sort of similar to the one that's put out by Bravo Company. As you can see, the trigger guard is part of the lower receiver. It was the billet. It was machined out. We're going to field strip the rifle. You take a look at some of the parts on the inside. Looking at the handguard. This is a 16-inch barrel. The rail, we have a 14-inch M-LOK type rail. Now, this rail is also manufactured by Wilson. It uses a relatively interesting material that we don't see too much in this industry. Most of the time, these are 6061 aircraft grade aluminum. This is manufactured out of 6005 T5 aluminum. So this is a little bit better quality than 6061. I think the 7075 is probably still a little bit better of a material, but you don't necessarily need that expensive of a material to make a handguard out of. Also, interestingly enough, they do have the notches cut to decrease weight on the rail, but none of these rail segments are numbered. So for as far as quick retention, you wouldn't have that because you don't have any of them numbered. Again, standard M-LOK. Now, the barrel is really where the heart and soul of this is, because this rifle is guaranteed to be sub-MOA. And that's something that they guarantee out of Wilson. Now, the barrel this is a 16-inch barrel, and it is fluted. And the gas system is also relatively unique as well. Normally, you just have the 3, 7, 9, and 12. 3 is the pistol, 7 inches, the carbine, 9 to the mid-length, and 12 is the standard rifle. Because this is a 16-inch barrel, they use their own 13.25-inch gas system, which basically increases dwell time. It certainly does aid in reliability. Now, if you have one of their 20-inch barrels, they also have a 15.5-inch gas tube as well. You do have a low-profile gas block. Now, the barrel is manufactured out of 416R stainless steel. You have 1 11 1/4 rifling twist, a 5/8 by 24 flash suppressor. The flash suppressor on here is their Accutech flash hider, which basically is a normal flash hider, but it's made of the same material as the barrel, the 416 stainless steel. But again, match grade barrel, and this is the heart and soul where they're guaranteeing you that that sub MOA accuracy. So we're going to take this thing apart and take a look a little bit in the inside. First thing we're going to look at is the trigger. This is a Wilson Combat TT, or Tactical Trigger Unit, M2. This is actually a 2-stage trigger, which you're probably going to be getting around 4 to 4.5 pounds. It's a very, very nice trigger for accuracy. But looking at the inside, I mean, this is typical machining. You do have a slightly different bolt catch on here. The ping pong paddle is a little bit different of a shape, but you have a standard safety. And again, we have this. This is a custom Starburst pistol grip with their logo on it. We have an extremely flared magwell, which is another good thing for fast insertion competition. Looking at the receiver extension, this is a standard M4 type receiver extension, which utilizes the smaller buffer. Now, the smaller buffer generally causes problems, but the spring that we have on here is, as you can see, an extremely long spring, and it's flat wire. So they're trying to make up for the lack of weight in the buffer with the heavy recoil spring. And again, you can use by using a flat spring, you can get a much larger spring in there to give you much more pressure. Again, for this kind of money, I would have expected them to go with the proper receiver extension, which would be longer, so you can use a standard M4. If you look at the differences in the buffers, this is a standard M4 buffer where you can fit 3 weights in it. Well, this one here, you can only fit 1. So you basically could have 3 weights in here, of steel weights, and this would mitigate the bolt carrier bounce. This one here, as you can see, they're trying to make it up for it with this really heavy recoil spring. Normal military-grade AR-10s will use the M4 buffer, but you have to have the longer receiver extension. Again, that's something else that I would have expected Wilson to do, that they did not. Buffer is definitely hard to get in because you have this heavy spring. So now we're going to take a look at the bolt carrier group. Now, my buddy Charlie, who loaned this to me, said that when this came with a nickel-plated bolt carrier group, which he preferred the black. Now, talking to the guys over at Wilson, they manufacture their nickel-plated bolt carrier group in-house. This one is outsourced. I don't know if there's any difference in quality or not. If you look at the way that it's made, it looks very, very similar to what comes out of Aero Precision for as far as the the sculpture of it and everything. But I'm not going to guess to where that it comes from. So when we look at the bolt carrier group, the bolt 9310 steel, which is certainly better than the standard mill spec. The extractor on here is manufactured out of S7 steel, which is a much stronger material. The bolt is magnetic particle and as well as proof tested, so you do have that quality control list in there as well. Again, nothing wrong with outsourcing parts as long as you do the quality control when it comes in. Now, the charging handle on here is Wilson Combat, their WC-10. What I don't care for about this is how narrow these are. Again, I got big fingers, and when you have an optic on here, it's a little bit hard to reach. So I think I probably would have preferred to see a much larger latch on there for you to be able to get a hold of, especially when you have an optic on there. But looking at the bottom of the receiver, again, very, very well made. And again, I'm very happy to see that there's not a forward assist on there because it's not necessary. If the gun is gassed properly and made properly, it doesn't need it. Excellent barrel extension in there, nice polished feed ramps. So the overall quality is quite well on here. The scope that Charlie preferred to use on here is Leupold. Charlie's a big Leupold fan, and this is their VX6 HD 3 to 18 by 50. Glass was good. The turrets on here is set up for the 168 grain Sierra Match King, which is what I use for testing. I used the 175 grain and 168. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this one to the range. We're going to see how it shoots. Charlie, what's going on? Now, we had no malfunctions whatsoever. This rifle was pretty much brand new when I got it. I think Charlie's they only put a few rounds through it just to zero in the optic, and of course the optic was zeroed in at 100 yards with no problem. Manufacturer guaranteed sub MOA. Well, every group that I got with this was sub MOA. My best group was .76 inches with Black Hills 175 grain OTM. Now, I obtained sub MOA with both the 168 grain OTM by Black Hills, as well as the SIG 168 grain, which are all Sierra open tip match bullets. Now, Charlie zeroed this in with the Hornady ELDX hunting ammunition, which had the polymer tip on it. For some reason, this did not like that. Basically, what happened was it snapped the tips right off the plastic tips. The tip got caught in between the barrel extension and the bolt would not close, so we had to open the action up. We had to clean that out, get all that debris out of there. So for some reason, those Hornadies it did not like. It snapped that up, but I had some Black Hills that were their tipped OTM, and there wasn't any problem with that. But every cartridge we put through it, it did meet sub MOA. Now, I'm sure somebody who was a really good shooter could have done much better than .76 inches. Quite frankly, that's really good for me with my arthritis that I have. But it definitely does as advertised. So now comes a real question. Very, very, very nice rifle. We look at the price tag, $3,285. I look at it and I don't see it. I don't see the price tag. For as far as the barrels being sub MOA, LMTs do that. My SR25s do that. I've had some SIGs that do that. So being sub MOA is not all that uncommon. It's not guaranteed by most companies because of the ammunition issues. So I certainly do get that. But I would have expected for the price tag that it has that it had advanced features. It had ambi controls. It had the T marked on the top, so you had zero retention. The handguard is nice. The upper receiver, again, I have no problem with there being no forward assist. I would have liked to have seen a proper AR-10 receiver extension rather than the M4 one that you see on here. The receivers, the upper and lower receivers are very, very well made. Now, when you do fire this gun, because it is on the light side at only 8 pounds, you do get some recoil from it. This does kick back at me a little bit harder than my LMTs and some of my other rifles that I have that are 7.62 Reaper and whatnot. It's just because of the fact that it's a lightweight rifle. It has nothing to do with the way the rifle's gassed or anything else. This rifle was gassed very well. The ejection pattern was around 4 or 5 o'clock, so it was not over gassed. But again, when you're firing such a powerful cartridge out of such a lightweight rifle, you do get some extra recoil. we were shooting at our challenge targets. As I said, I love those challenge targets. They make this thing a whole lot funner. Actually, it's pretty boring doing the groups. So I'm quick to get my groups done, and I start shooting at the steel targets. If you guys are in the market for any steel targets, we do have use our code SAS. You get 10% off of every steel target they have on their site. So if you're interested, go check those out. They make it a hell of a lot more fun. But again, very, very nice rifle. I just think for the cost, I think that there's other rifles out there that will shoot just as good, that have similar fit and finish, that you're probably going to spend at least $1,000 less for the most part. But again, this is a boutique. Their pistols, 1911s are some of the most coveted pistols in the industry. There are some manufacturers that are out there that are just at top tier that people want. It's excellent. It's excellent gear. Yes. When you just compare it to what else is out there at the price and what you get, and for as far as features, I think that's a little bit where it's lacking. Again, some people don't like the AMI features. I do, because I like being able to use my thumb to release the magazine release. And there are left-handed shooters out there. And the way this thing ejected, it wouldn't have hurt the hit the person in the face, but somebody would have to go out, if they were left-handed, and buy a ambidextrous bolt catch and put it on there. After you spend $30,285 on a rifle, you have to go out there and spend extra money to get an ambi bolt catch, to ambi magazine release, so you can actuate that. You really shouldn't have to be able to spend any additional money to make it suitable for you. But again, we thank Charlie for letting us borrow this rifle. Again, it shot well, very well made. He's a real big Wilson Combat fan. He's gonna let me try one of his 1911s too, because as you guys know, I'm not much of a 1911 guy. But he told me that it was the nicest one he's ever seen. So I respect Charlie's word. So we're gonna give it a try. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.